But anyway, welcome. I'm Lama Rod. Um, and if you're new, please say hello in the chat box. Anyone can say hello in the chat box. It's wonderful to have you join practice tonight. We'll also soon we'll post our prayer request doc link. And be sure if you're interested in having a prayer offered to go ahead and put that on the prayer doc as well. And also just just apologies again for any way that I mispronounce or anyone's name that you offer. But you'll see instructions on the Google Doc for those of you who are new that will tell you how to post. But again, apologies for any names. I know some of the names are always on the list. I'm sure I never get them right as well. I was just recording the audiobook for New Saints. Past 2 weeks I've been working on it. I just finished on Thursday. And it was amazing to learn how many words I just have never pronounced correctly. Until you're recording your third book, and someone has the heart to. I've never had a producer on books either, so this has been a new experience. So I've never had anyone telling me that, oh, that's not how we pronounce this word ever. But I'm from the South, and quite honestly, in the South, we just have different ways of saying stuff, as one does. As I learned in New England when I lived in Massachusetts. Same thing, So we would be going through, I'll be reading something and my producer would be like, I think that's pronounced a certain way, but she would never just say, well, this is how it's pronounced. She had a website that she would type the word in and it would give you the correct pronunciation. It wasn't a Southern pronunciation. It was a regular pronunciation. Anyway, I say all that to say that, again, I apologize for mispronouncing any names as well. So welcome again for those of you who are getting into the room. If you're new, please say hello. I want to start with a check-in. If anyone wants to just say how you're doing, it's always good to just to hear how you all are doing, and we can move from there into practice.
You mean an open up your mouth and say something check-in, or put it in the chat check-in?
Well, you already opened your mouth, Rachel, so there you go. You can do either.
Thank you. It's like asking for forgiveness instead of permission. Anyway, I just want to say I'm super, super glad to be here, and here's something about pronunciation. So
good. Let's talk about this. You're a Southerner.
Yeah, so my friend Shia Eisenberg, I put his name in there every time. So that's how you pronounce it.
I have that, yeah.
Shia Eisenberg. And his wife is Bahira Sugarman. Anyway, Shia died week before last, and we had his funeral and all the Shiva minions. And I just want to say he's probably one of the most loving people I've ever encountered in my life, actually. And that's not a small thing to say, as is his wife, who's still living. And so it's been a big week, and I just am so grateful to have Medicine Buddha to come to. That's my check-in. Thank you, Lama Rod and Sangha.
And we're sorry to hear about Shia, because we've been praying for years.
You have, really. That's really true. And he had a degenerative spine disease, and he was in a lot of pain. So he was 82. So it's one of those things you can say, well, he's relieved from his pain, and I think that's true. He said, his wife said when he died, there was this huge thunderclap. And this joy just filled the room, and I believe it. Yeah. So anyway, I appreciate all the prayers for him, and we can just send him on into the bar. And I'll put that in the doc. But anyway, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the death transition is that we continue to offer prayers. When someone passes, you're still very much a part of impacting their transition, the after death transition into the bardo or the spirit realm. And so those prayers can continue, forever. Even, let's say someone is reborn into a human body, those prayers are still, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to get too far and, into, I can go off into left field and not come back. But then again, I do live in left field, so I'm never away from it. But like you can, like there may be people praying for you,
Wow.
from a past life. You know, I mean,
Mm.
it's possible.
Actually, thank you. I love hearing that. And you can go off into left field as much as you want, because that's a big question I've had forever about thinking many people are probably reincarnated. Do you keep praying for them? That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and those prayers create positive karmic links. So you get, kind of attracted to those people, because those prayers are hopefully an expression of love, and love is a binder. Hate is also a binder as well. So, it's a karmic joke. Like it's like a universal karmic joke that hate is also a binder as well as love, right? Um, so that's really interesting. But yeah, the love prayer offered out of love really creates a deep connection, um, with beings. I remember early in my practice, learning about, this idea of karmic connections. And I remember a senior teacher, a senior Lama, once was asking me, or we were talking about the feelings or the experiences we get when we meet people for the first time, in life. And we were just talking about how often we pick up where we left off with people. So that instant attraction or that instant meeting and what arises is just an expression of how our relationship was in past lives, which I like that, as well. Of course, the Tibetan joke is the people that you don't like in past lives, you end up being born as family as well. So there may be some truth to that as well, I think. Um, but yeah, I just love this interrelated, this kind of non-linear connection that we can have, you know. Even in a Tibetan sense of things, like it's because we're here together tonight, even on Zoom, we've been together before in other lives in different configurations, you know. Um, Even when I was in 3-year retreat with the people that I went to retreat with, it ended up being 4 of us retreating together in 3-year retreat. And because we were in such an intense situation, our teacher would talk about how we've been there together, before. And of course, my prayers became to like break this cycle of having to spend 3 years you know, with a very hard-headed group of people. You listen, like when you're living 3 years with people and you have these austerities that create pressure, and you can't leave, you can't do anything, you can't get away, you're just gonna like be on top of each other, right? And I was just like, I need a break. Next life, something different, you know. I'm always like interested in having a life where it's more like, I don't know, Sex in the City. That's always been my goal. This is why I spend so much time in New York. You know, I'm trying to like create that lifestyle, mostly because I deserve it. And I don't watch Sex in the City, so that's the irony at the same point. It's like, I don't watch the show. I do care for the lifestyle that's being portrayed, in the show. But alas, liberation work is not always comfortable and glamorous, blah, blah, blah. That's my propaganda. I'm sticking to it. But I mean, that doesn't mean that I can't go shopping for a hat in Manhattan, when I have time. which is what I did the last time. So, um, again, welcome. This is indeed Medicine Buddha. I promise you I'm going to swing this around in a couple of minutes. You have to let me have the space to talk about hats and death in the same conversation. Any more check-ins? I'm just checking the chats before we begin. Yeah, energy. I want to talk about energy. We always talk about energy, absolutely. Yeah, so much energy. We've passed into summer, we passed through the solstice, and each seasonal transition has some really huge energy shifts as well. So I'm sure you're feeling a little bit of shift. We talked about this last Monday too, as we were preparing for the solstice. Yeah, just huge shifts. And I was really reflecting on this today, just the amount of energy that seems really like radical, not in terms of like political radical, but like just really strong waves, bursts of energy happening all over the place. And so much of our practice, particularly tantric practice, is learning how to develop agency with energy, because everything, all phenomena, is an expression of energy shaped by consciousness, and consciousness itself is energy, an energy that knows, that has awareness. So moving into the summer for me, right, it's really tuning into the energy and practicing in alignment with energy, right? And this is what we're always doing in our practice. Any deity practice is really about working with energy. Deities are expressions of intelligent energy. And so many practices in the tradition, from breath practice to visualizations to the different systems of yoga, the many systems of yoga and physical movement, are about learning to work with energy, channel energy, hold energy, move energy, right? Instead of feeling as if we're just, I don't know, being propelled back and forth by waves of energy. And grief, emotions and grief are expressions of energy as well. Death, right, is an energetic transition, right, that impacts so many people, not just the person transitioning, but also the people who work, connected, part of that transitioning person's life, right? Fear is an energy. I mean, these are emotions, but they're energy again. Like fear is an energy. Trauma is definitely energy. Trauma is energy that just doesn't, they get stuck, right? It gets kind of like, bottled up some way. Yeah. And for me, having trained in a couple of different energy practices, not just tantric or Tibetan, but like in other traditions, for me, energy, working with energy is, can feel like, being in a hurricane, just being on the ocean. I don't know how many people have been on been on a boat during a storm, but I can feel like that, just kind of like the intense, up and downs, riding these huge waves. And the point, or rather the practice, is just to hold that. It's not to react, but to just experience those waves of energy, right? And of course, you connect to the earth, right, as an experience of grounding. You connect to the earth and you ride it, And this is why we always start with earth and the expressions of earth in our practice, any practice that I do, actually, because I want to have the consent of the earth and to let the earth hold me, as I move. into more intensive practice, right? Um, and energy in general is just what I do, you know. It's not that I generate energy. It's not like I'm giving you something, but I'm definitely channeling things, you know, opening, putting things together, which is one of my particular kind of abilities, is to weave together, different kinds of energy, different frequencies of energy. And that's something that you can begin to benefit from, in practice. That's really what attunement is. That's what an empowerment is traditionally in Tibetan Buddhism, is that someone's just introducing you to a certain frequency, someone who's embodied that frequency and opens that frequency for you. So you begin to like feel and embody that frequency, which puts you in connection with the energies in that frequency. That's really what we're doing in empowerments, right? Medicine Buddha is a certain frequency which I've embodied, and I just open that frequency up. And so you're practicing, when you're practicing with me, you're practicing attuning to that, and the mantra, right, is an important part of that attunement as well. I think the mantra is not just also attuning, it's also clearing other distractions or other radical frequencies out of the way, so you begin to develop a sensitivity to the frequency of Medicine Buddha. Right? And of course, a lot of people don't have that capacity. Like, I can attune to deities that I've never had a teacher for, because in my practice, it's just like a radio. I can just kind of dial through things. I mentioned this too, because I know there's at least one other person in the space who has the exact same capacity as well. So over time, I'll probably collect more people with that capacity. And this is why questions of, for instance, appropriation get really engraved, because when you're attuning like this, that these energies as deities, as different forms, are coming to you, developing a relationship with you. Not to say that like your practice after that contact won't begin to shape itself, right? Because we have rituals and ceremonies in relationship to deities that actually support the maintenance of that attunement. So the offerings and the different procedures that one would do depending on the path or the tradition is really about how do we stay in line and connected to that particular frequency of the being that we're working with, right? So all that's very, very exciting, and that doesn't make you less of a practitioner if you can't do that kind of on-the-spot attunement, But for some of you, there are deities trying to make contact, but it's hard to determine what's really happening. For me, when I went through last summer, I went through kind of initiation into another tradition, and at first, like, I didn't know what was really happening. Like, I didn't know what was, I can, at this point, I know the signs of, maybe an intelligent consciousness wanting to connect, because it actually feels like someone nagging you or like bothering you. Have you ever been, like, for instance, I think kids are like this sometimes, little kids, they're like, they kind of like bother you. They're like asking you the same question over and over again, like my little brother would do, and it'd be so annoying. And so I just was started ignoring him. That's what it feels like. It feels like someone is like trying to get your attention, but you don't want to like deal with it, you know? So you keep pushing it, keep pushing it, and keep pushing it away until your whole situation begins to shift, until that deity starts talking to other people. And then those people start reaching out and saying, I wish you would talk to this being. And that's how ancestor practice started for me. That's exactly how I started doing ancestor work, because my deities would go and talk to another friend of mine, another priestess friend, who was initiated into Ifa Iroba traditions. And my friend would call me and be like, listen, your ancestors wanted me to pass this message on. And then I finally started getting the point, it's to open. But other people's ancestors do that to me. Your ancestors do that to me as well. They'll reach out to me. My ancestors will do that. My ancestors will give me messages to tell me to give to other members of the living family, which I don't know how to do that. I come from kind of a magic family. And so there's definitely a part of my family where, yeah, we can have these conversations and pass these messages on. Absolutely. But the rest of the family, I don't know about. Until you write a book with a whole ancestor chapter in it, and then you're just like, I'll just put all the stuff in the book, and then I can tell if they've read it or not, depending on how much they freak out. Anyway, so we're gonna bring it back. Who's that? Oh, Lama Rod, you're articulating thoughts I've had this week about my practice. What in particular, which thoughts? The best man.
Hi, Lama Rod. The thoughts about appropriation, and when deities from traditions or ancestors that I don't typically think of as being in my lineage reach out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's happened to me on multiple occasions, and I really hadn't questioned it, because I have stories about being stalked by deities and, strangers coming up to me saying, this deity wants to talk to you. And I'm like, I'm trying not to talk to them. You can't just walk up to people and tell them, and give them readings unsolicited. Don't you need permission for that kind of work? But now I'm, of course, I'm much more comfortable with that. I didn't, when I was younger, I just didn't want to be that strange. I was still trying to pretend to be a normal person. And so recently I've been examining kind of those relationships, and through the lens of, our increased sensitivity to appropriation, and saying, well, it's not like I sought this out or attempted to do it. So even this week, I was having some of those thoughts around my multicultural homecoming circle of spirit guides and deities and ancestors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's, very common for a lot of folks. And so much of the ways in which we compartmentalize and characterize and label things and organize things, and in this realm, like, it seems so separate, but in the spirit world, in Bardo world, right, that separation doesn't exactly exist, So there are deities from one pantheon who take on the form of deities in other pantheons, right? And that's something that's a higher level kind of practice when you get into that, you know. But the deeper you build a relationship with the deity, the more that deity reveals how they manifest, you know, in other forms, right? And that's a really beautiful part of the practice. Like the deity, like in this case, Medicine Buddha, you know, maybe for some of you, Medicine Buddha is showing you how they show up, how they're emanating in so many different ways, and as so many different beings and kinds of healers and so forth, right?
I hadn't practiced with Jesus for a long, long time, and the medicine Buddha practice has shown up as, you know, Jesus speaking to me very directly. And then at the retreat, the Bhumi Sparsha retreat, when Lama Justin did the attunement for Lama Padme Dusoma.
Lama, yeah.
That being moved easily into the same headspace that Kali and some warrior goddesses had been occupying with me previously, and I felt like I already knew the spirit, but I had never heard that name before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's just different the ways in which things can like manifest and show up in all kinds of ways across different cultures. And traditions like deities can reinvent themselves, you know, become other things, you know. And to have that kind of expansive kind of view with this is really important. That's kind of like this new age of spirituality that I'm trying to bring about. Is that, you know, there's not as much separation as we think there is, right? Yeah. Yeah. Like the best man in the movie. In what way? Like
And that movie is about how he writes a book about his college friends,
yeah.
and it's not supposed to be published till after after the wedding they're all going to.
Yeah.
But they get an advance copy, and so when he gets there, they've all read the book, and now they know what he said about them. And he was planning to go to the wedding and kind of, you know, get away before the book came out.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you were trying to get away, but just the people who show up in the book,
Mm-hmm.
you know, have an opinion.
Only really talk about the dead by name. But everyone else gets like, you know, you get kind of alluded to. I do have a chapter about how I go through some past relationships that I've had, to kind of model what it looks like to let go of relationship suffering, or the woundedness we experience in relationships, you know, intimate relationships in particular. So I tried to stay I don't think those people will read the book. Those past boyfriends won't read the book, hopefully. But you never know. Okay, friends, let's get into practice. Hopefully everyone's put their prayer request in. So I'm going to go right into that as well. So again, summer. And again, for me, summer, as I've been saying in the past, is so much about light. It's efficiency, it's movement, it's growth, it's expansion. It's becoming the sun, right? In many ways, it's also the labor we do, because the light is preparing to leave the world again, or at least this hemisphere. At least. So we're preparing, we're awakening, and we are at our most like awakened state in the summer. But there's also an acknowledgement that fall is coming, right? And fall leads to winter. So we want to it's always, I know this is a really challenging thing, but it's being in the world, but also having an idea of what may be coming, right? To say, yeah, I'm going to have fun, I'm going to cut up, I'm going to kiki, and also have to work because the fall is coming, and fall is a different kind of celebration for the work that we've done in the summer. It's gathering, like gathering the harvest that we've been growing, beginning in the spring, really. Right? But I'm not saying we're going to focus on fall, but I'm just saying there's a context, right? That practice always has to arise within, So let's begin as we transition into our practice. So again, allow yourself to come into a position that feels appropriate for you. And we're going to be working with the chakras a little bit, which is the part of the first practice that I developed early on with this kind of medicine Buddha practice. So we're going to be working with the chakras, working with our prana energy body, after I just call our light bodies, our energy bodies. And really see if we can develop a sensitivity to awakening, our energy bodies a little more. We're going to be using a little bit of breath, right? And I'll give alternative suggestions for using the breath. But when you're ready, shifting your attention to the seat. Again, connecting to groundedness, to stability, to the weightiness of the body and how the seat rises to hold us. Letting yourself really be held by the seat. And of course, allowing our attention to begin to touch into the earth. And again, this can feel very abstract, right? Like, how do you touch the earth through attention? And all you're having to do is just say, as you turn your attention to the earth, you are touching the earth. And this is a part of kind of attunement or even just channeling other energies, is that it really is based on turning a thought, thinking about what you're hoping to attune to. That begins the connection. Thoughts are extremely powerful, right? So in our practice, particularly in meditation, right, we're learning how to develop an agency, not to an extent where we're controlling what we think about or pushing things away, but we're developing an agency to let go of reactivity and to have the space to respond. So turning our attention to the earth, to the land, and particularly to the consciousness, the awakened consciousness of the earth, of the land, is in itself touching. You're connecting to the land itself, the earth. And when we touch the earth like this, we begin to touch really all beings connected to the earth, which is all beings, all life forms, including plants, both physical and non-physical beings as well. And for me, this is a key connection, particularly for those of us who are doing climate change work, right? To start practicing with the earth like this develops a sensitivity. So you begin to work with the earth, the land, right? In creating change and limiting harm, right? So much of, maybe climate change activism is about something, it's about making choices on behalf of the land, but this is a really much more powerful path, is to connect to the earth, connect to the land, and then you begin to listen to the earth. And that listening begins to shift how you live with the land. The land isn't something to save, but the land, the earth, becomes this being that you're collaborating with, that you're partnering with to create a reduction of harm, not just for the land and earth, but also for ourselves and for all the beings, right, who depend on the earth. This is indigenous practice, right? Indigenous communities throughout history, as long as we know, even beyond what we know, have always lived really connected to the land, to the consciousness of the earth. And feeling the consciousness of the earth awaken around you. And again, I don't know if there's any right or wrong way to experience this, but whatever's showing up for you or whatever you're experiencing, just pay attention to it. Just notice it. And let's go a little further here. And I invite you to imagine that you are outside. And particularly, you're in a natural place, an outdoor place, which you're very connected to. I would say your favorite place, right, to experience the natural world in, right? And it could be imagining that you're sitting at the beach or in the forest or a place that you've been that you feel connected to. It can be your backyard. And just allowing the scene, the experience of this place just to awaken around you. So when you have that, when you feel like you're somewhere, right? And it doesn't have to be as if you're seeing it really clearly. There's just the feeling, also the feeling that you have when you're in this place. So once you have that place in your mind, we're going to turn our attention to our first mantra, the opening mantra for Medicine Buddha. And we're going to chant the mantra. Actually, we're going to chant it 6 times. And we're going to chant it verbally 3 times. And then I want us to hum it 3 times as well. The humming and the vibration is a part of attunement as well. The humming is also a kind of breath practice, as well in Tantra traditions. So Minla Sangye Kino Soha, Medicine Buddha, please think of me, look upon me, know me. Kino can be translated. Kino does mean to think of, but you can retranslate Kino into whatever language, whatever you need from Medicine Buddha. That's the verb, right? That we adjust. To know me, to look upon me, to heal me, to hold me, like wherever you need, that's what Kino becomes. And as you're sitting in your place, in your environment, imagine as we offer this mantra, that this mantra actually begins to bless this natural space that we're in. And mantras do bless, can be used as blessings. So as we begin to offer the mantra, just imagine that the land or the place that you're at begins to even awaken even more. The land becomes vibrant and dynamic and, alive, right? It becomes alive. But we'll begin with an elongated and after the 6th mantra of humming, we'll return back to a mantra of hummed. So we'll begin with the chant 3 times, hum 3 times, and then end with an that we hum. Okay? So we'll begin. La Sangye Kito So La Sangye Kito So La Sangye Kino So Take a deep breath, release it. And just as you release it, that out breath that we've been chanting the mantra, that breath is blessed by the mantra, and that disperses itself all through the space that we're in, the place that we've chosen to be. And we're going to transition into just a period of 7 homecomings practice, 7 homecomings benefactors, right? And for those of you who have the practice, who know the practice, you can move through it at your own pace. For those of you who are new to this particular practice, I just invite you just to imagine that all the beings who love you, who want you to be safe, happy, and free, and resourced, that all these beings begin to appear around you in this space, in this place that you've gone to. Right? So all your teachers and elders and guides, and you don't have to know who any of these beings are. Just opening, welcoming, and just saying, please come and be with me in this space. So again, all your teachers and guides and mentors, all the communities that protect you, that love you, right? Including family, including friends, maybe including your work, right? Or our community groups, our affinity groups, right? Inviting all of those beings into the space. Inviting your benevolent ancestors, only the ancestors who are here to help. And say that really clearly in your practice if you invite ancestors. I'm only inviting those of you who are able to help, in this practice. Inviting your lineages, right? You can invite the energy of really liberatory teachings as well. All these beings begin to show up around you. They can be countless, they can be fewer than countless, it doesn't matter. When we open our minds and welcome the beings who love us and protect us, many more beings are showing up than maybe we're conscious of. When you're ready, you can begin to imagine that these beings begin to radiate the energy of care. It's like they begin to glow with a deep care, which is compassion, love, kindness, and joy, really. And that radiance is for you, right? This is an offering for you. This energy is for you. They begin to glow even more strongly, and they glow so intensely that they begin to dissolve into their own caring radiance. And imagine that they begin to be absorbed by the earth, by the land under you. And they begin to kind of get mixed up and integrated into the expansive, awakened consciousness of the earth. And sometimes I may refer to the earth as the mother as well, because I think of the earth as the mother in my practice. So in case that happens. And the earth, the land, right, becomes even more vibrant, it becomes even more awakened. And the energetic care of our benefactors actually begins to energize and awaken all the beings on this planet connected to the earth, to the land. So that feels like everything around us, the land, plants, even animals, the air, the wind, the clouds, everything begins to absorb and awaken even more with the energy of kindness from our benefactors. So essentially, this physical world becomes a source of care for us. And this is where we'll begin the first kind of section of chanting, the first part of our chanting with our main mantra. Just sitting in this place, whatever environment you found yourself, and just feeling this natural world, the physical world, the land, and everything connected to the land, like vibrating, buzzing, radiating, but not just the awakened consciousness of the earth, but also with the care of your benefactors as well. And feeling that connectedness, that sense of being held with care by the natural world. As the natural world, in this case, becomes an extension of all the beings who love you. Just sitting in that as we begin our chanting. The mantra Teya Tao Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rata Sumungate, Soha. That's right, also in that same chat box as well, with our first mantra. And as we begin to chant, you can chant or just listen, but the mantra is also beginning to radiate from everything around you. Like this is the sound that's emanating, which is the speech, the principal primary teaching of Medicine Buddha, of Minla Sangye. What does it feel? What would it feel like and be like just to surrender and be held by this place and everything that's radiating with care for us? 오태야다운 백은세 마백은세 라서 소문 같은 소하 대야다운 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 백은세 마백은세 라서 소문 soa. And so for the next part of our mantra practice, we're going to be working a little bit with the breath and the chakra system. And we're going to use our 7 chakras here, moving up parallel to the central column or the spine, right? And using just a little bit of breath practice. But to begin with, shifting your attention back down to the earth. Again, maybe just reflecting on connecting to the awakened energy of the earth. And that this energy is, white light that's radiating from the earth. As both the consciousness of the earth as well as the care of our benefactors. And shifting your attention to the breath. Just noticing the in breath and the out breath. And if you're not working with the breath, just don't go there right now. But shift your attention to something that feels much more neutral, like the seeds and the sensation of the seed rising to hold you. But when you're ready, when we're all ready, I invite you all to shift your attention to your tailbone. And that area of the tailbone is the first chakra, the earth chakra, which we also call the root chakra. And if you're working with the breath, imagining that you're breathing in and out of the root chakra at the tailbone. And once again, connecting down into the earth, noticing the earth under you. And we'll begin the earth breath practice. Essentially, we're just imagining that we're breathing, inhaling from the earth into the root chakra at the tailbone. So you're inhaling as if like your lungs, in a way, are in the root chakra there. So as you inhale, you're inhaling and inviting, pulling energy from the earth into the root chakra. And just exhaling normally for now. And as we inhale into the root chakra begins to awaken. And you don't have to do a visualization or anything for this. Just telling yourself, oh, my root chakra is awakening because I'm inviting this energy of awakened earth into my root chakra. And if you're not working with the breath, just imagining that the energy, the consciousness of the earth is just rising up into the root chakra. Like the root chakra begins to fill up, right? As if it's pulling energy up into itself. And as we continue, just imagining that the energy is slowly, naturally moving from chakra to chakra without the breath. As we continue, and for those of us working with the breath, using the breath, we're going to use the breath to send this energy up into our chakra system, okay? So returning back to the root chakra, 1 inhale, 1 exhale. Now on the next inhale, inhaling deeply into the root chakra, and then holding the breath for a couple of seconds in the root chakra. And when you exhale, imagine exhaling the energy up through the body into the pelvis area, into the second chakra. And you can imagine feeling a connection, a flow from the root chakra, right? That's still absorbing energy from the earth, and feeling that energy from the root chakra actually rising up into the second chakra, in the pelvis. Connecting those chakras, awakening those chakras. And then again, breathing and holding into the second chakra, breathing energy from the root chakra into the second chakra, holding our breath. And when you're ready, exhaling that energy up into the navel area, which is our solar plexus, the third chakra. And then coming back to a natural breath. As we keep moving up the chakra system, going up to the crown of the head, it's normal to feel a little lightheaded. It's normal to feel a little bit unrooted. For some of you, it's pretty normal to start getting visions and insights and everything as well. Everything is normal until it's too much, until hold. And when it becomes a little too much or too overwhelming, letting go of the visualization of the work and the breath, coming to a natural breath, returning attention back to the seat, maybe even having some water, maybe doing some simple slow movement to start regulating the awakening of energy, to moderate and manage the energies that we're awakening. So returning back to the third chakra, breathing into the third chakra, inhaling into the third chakra, more earth energy from the root chakra, holding the breath. As you release, exhaling that breath up into the heart chakra, the heart center. Coming back to a regular, normal breath or natural breath for you. And allowing the heart chakra to open, to activate. You also may start getting a little warm, and that's a very natural part of the practice as well when we're working with energy and breath. And so energy body, warmth is a byproduct of that work. When you're ready, returning attention back to your heart chakra, breathing into the heart chakra from the root chakra, inhaling that earth energy even more into the heart chakra, holding your breath, releasing that breath up into the throat chakra. The third chakra begins to activate. And that activation is about getting clearer, more direct, more truthful around speech, but it's also attuning our speech as well, attuning our speech to begin to resonate with people in a way that feels beneficial, helpful, peaceful, loving. When you're ready, returning your attention back to the throat chakra, inhaling from the root chakra, inhaling that energy all the way up through the previous chakras into the throat chakra, holding our breath there. And when you're ready, exhaling that breath up into the third eye, the space right more or less between the eyebrows, just directly above the eyebrows maybe. Coming back to a natural breath. So we're going to shift up to our last chakra, which is, two more chakras, to the crown of the head. We're going to do a last chakra that sits above the head. So when you're ready, inhaling from the root chakra up into the third eye, holding the breath. As we hold the breath, we intensify the energy in the chakra. We awaken the chakra even more. When we're ready, exhaling that energy to the crown of the head, to the top of the head. Coming back to a natural breath. So we're going to go one further. We're going to go to a chakra just, maybe 4, 5, 6 inches above the crown. So again, bringing attention to the crown chakra, breathing, inhaling from the root chakra up through the chakra system, inhaling into the crown chakra, holding the breath there, intensifying that energy. And when you're ready, releasing the breath, exhaling the breath to the chakra just above the head, above the crown chakra. And when you're ready, returning your attention to the chakra above the head. And when we exhale this time, I want us to imagine that we're exhaling all of this energy of care from all the space around us into that last chakra above the head. And when we collect all that energy, again, we'll hold the energy, imagining that the energy intensifies like the sun awakening above our heads. And when we exhale, we're going to exhale that energy down through all the chakras we've just awakened. And it'll be as if the chakra system becomes like this column of really powerful, pure white light, and that energy will begin to radiate throughout the whole body. All right, so let's try that. So again, shifting to the chakra above our head, as we inhale, inhaling all the energy of care, all the energy, of just aliveness, and life into the chakra. Once we get there, we hold that energy in the chakra just for a couple of seconds as we imagine that chakra getting more intense, coming alive like the sun above our heads. As we release the breath, releasing the breath down back through the chakra, all the way back down to the root chakra. And this really awakens this primary system of chakras, moving vertical up the body. And we can imagine even this column extending through the root chakra back down into the earth. So connecting us once again to the consciousness of the earth. And slowly our whole bodies begin to resonate. And for now, really sitting in that awakened kind of chakra system. And then I want to, as we're awakening like this, offer our prayers and then go back into a short session of chanting. Right? And I again invite all of our benefactors, all the deities, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dharma protectors, all beings of light, all our ancestors, benevolent ancestors, all the guardians and elders of the earth, of the land, and all beings, any being who wants us to be free and safe and resourced. I invite you into the space and I offer these prayers to you along with the awakened consciousness of the earth and of Medicine Buddha. We ask that you receive these prayers and begin to shift and begin to work on our behalf to bring about the fruition of our prayers, both individually and collectively. We're offering prayers to move through this life with awakeness, to use my gifts to share wisdom and truth. Offering prayers for those suffering from illness. May we be healed and use this experience to awaken. Prayers for JP, who has been in and out of ER with heart issues, and for his wife and caretaker, Diane. Offering prayers for me, Chachu, that I am more rested and stronger in my confidence and conviction toward liberation work. And offering prayers of gratitude for all the support that has been given to me in this life. Offering prayers for all beings in all realms and all lifetimes to be free. Prayers for Lama Rod and everyone making Bhumi Sparsha possible. Prayers of gratitude for every act of kindness I've ever received from someone. Prayers for my ancestors and for my benefactors. Prayers for all beings of light and their patience and dedication. Offering prayers for well-being, good health, and protection of Nina and Rishi, for Sanju and Anil, who have crossed over to the Bardo too young. Prayers for my own well-being and health, that I may dive back into my art practice with the needed energy and grace. Asheo. Prayer that I may connect with hope and light and spaciousness soon. Prayers that I may find and accept the help I need to transform my living situation. Offering prayers for Trisha as she goes through chemo and many other things. Offering prayers that I may deepen my connection with my guides and deities, and also build community with humans who are nurturing and supportive and inspire me to grow into my highest self. Prayers that I may let go of fear, insecurity, and resentment. Offering prayers that my autistic daughter connect with others and build friendships. Prayers for all the people who are helping each other all the time. Prayers for my best friend who died 2.5 years ago, who used to be such a support to me, that she has what she needs where she is now. Offering prayers for Hakika Linda Bridges, the Dharma sister who passed away June 14th, 2023. Prayers for all beings that we may see with clarity and compassion our common humanity. Prayers for myself as I struggle with recovery from difficulties with a medical procedure. Offering prayers for G's health as they complete their first week-long silent retreat. Prayers for D as they work with yet another injury on top of the after effects of the smoke damage to their home. Prayers for all beings incarcerated by systems of retribution, punishment, correction, and homogenization. And prayers for everyone imprisoned, however that may be. Prayers for M as they live with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and for all who live with disability, chronic pain, and illness. Prayers for Melody as she builds her support structure in her new home. May she know and experience abundance. Prayers for me as I navigate getting a car and reliable ways to take care of myself and meeting my needs. Prayers that I may navigate upcoming medical tests and procedures that I am honestly terrified about with more spaciousness than I am feeling at the moment. Prayers for my sister Ruth, who suffers and causes others to suffer. May she find self-love and realization she has resources available to her. Prayers for everyone living through conflict and chaos in Sudan. Prayers for all non-binary people as we work to be accepted in queer, trans, and other spaces, and for all people targeted and harmed by anti-LGBTQIA 2S plus hate. Prayers for Ada and Oren. Prayers for Ada and Orion, Kaj and Susanna, Carta and Siggy, and all others struggling with feelings of hopelessness. Prayers for Shai Eisenberg as he travels through the Bardo, and for his beloved wife, Bahira, and the innumerable people who loved him dearly. For Mahan Siller, who fell and injured his knee badly, and then had a heart attack. for Tom Crana and Chava Bailey, and for myself for healing on all levels. So much gratitude. Prayers for my mother as she recovers from surgery, and prayers for my sister-in-law as she awaits news of her last disability hearing. Prayers for all who hurt and are sad when their wounded child is triggered by family members. Prayers for steadiness and perseverance with my work in the world. Prayers for my partner and I to proceed with care and trust, to pause and respond with love and without causing harm. Prayers for love, building on love in a way that's more expansive than I have ever thought possible. Prayers for us humans to be strong enough to care more for our planet. Prayers that I can keep some momentum and feeling a bit more life and spark. Prayers for all to feel care and to receive care. Prayers for the Bumi Sparsha community, that we may find the resources and energy that can meet all of our needs. Prayers for members of the Sangha that feel anxiety at the prospect of Bumi Sparsha's dissolution. May they navigate the forthcoming changes with grace. Prayers for all beings experiencing mental illness compounded by other marginalized identities. May they receive compassionate presence, support, and abundant understanding, abundant community. May they know how loved and needed they are. Prayers for my grandmother suffering from severe dementia who attempted suicide this week. May she be free of her suffering and know serenity soon. Prayers of strength and love and understanding for my family. Prayers for the Casper Ryan family. May they come together to navigate Judy's stroke and the family's next steps with love, vulnerability, and care. Prayers for Brian that he may have courage to unarmor and open his heart to the third mindfulness training of true love and allow past lives and ancestors to guide his path. Prayers for guidance and discernment on where and how to draw boundaries with neglectful and harmful parents, and how to honor them for what they did to give me life despite their shortcomings. Offering prayers for my dad, Bob, who is living with multiple chronic health conditions and who is who's scheduled to have surgery for colon cancer this Friday. Prayers to ease his fear and let him know he's not alone. Prayers for Stefania after a grueling week in the hospital in the wake of a health crisis. May she heal. May her leukemia become manageable and eventually be eliminated. Prayers for Christine that she may let go of the harm caused by her male ancestral line, so she may remember her Buddha nature and heal her harming relationships with her husband and sons and other family and friends. I continue to offer prayers for the transition of George and the Bardo, for the health and well-being of Khalil. I continue to offer prayers for Mike, for his deepest well-being, happiness, and joy. And we continue to offer prayers for this whole world and for all the worlds and all the world systems who are all struggling to experience safety, stability. May all systems of violence and harm be completely abolished in all the worlds. May all beings begin to experience the deepest love, care, resourcefulness, safety, and love possible. May we all attain enlightenment as quickly as possible. And especially for those of us, may we all in this space practicing together with the profound consciousness of Medicine Buddha, may we also be deeply healed, and may we all receive the resources that we need also to experience resourcefulness and care and love and have access to everything that we need to continue our work towards liberation. Again, may we all be healed, may we all be free as quickly as possible. And as we go back just into the mantra, just for a couple of minutes, just allowing your light body, your awakened light body, just to begin to radiate into the space, into the world that we find ourselves in, bringing light to darkness, bringing healing to where there seems to be a struggle for wellness. Just letting our light shine and trusting the light as well as our benefactors to do this work of bringing about the fruition of all of our prayers. And again, going back into our mantra. 오태야다운 백은세 마백은세라서 소문 같았소아 대야다운 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 백은세 마백은세라서 소문 Behenze Raza Sumu Gate Soha Beyada Behenze Behenze La Behenze Raza Sumu Gate Soha Beyada Behenze Behenze La Behenze Raza Sumu Gate Soha. And so returning your attention to this column of light, which is our awakened primary chakra system, and the energy and the light that is radiating. We begin to imagine that our bodies begin to dissolve in this radiance, as well as the earth and the space that we find ourselves in, that everything begins to dissolve in the radiance of deep transformative care and awakened consciousness of the earth, of the mother itself. And there's nothing but light, and we just float. Our awareness mingles and floats and expands out into this light. And slowly, even the light itself begins to dissolve into emptiness. And what is left is our awareness, floating in and mingling with the boundlessness, expansiveness of space and emptiness. And when you're ready, beginning to feel and experience the re-arising of the physical body, beginning with the weight of the body and the seat under you. Letting the body, letting your awareness bring back the experience of body, the physicality, and slowly beginning to reawaken the body through just very simple, slow movements. Again, we're just like, kind of like maybe stirring up energies that may have gotten too settled, releasing any energy and through the breath. So inhaling deeply, releasing that energy in the out breath, allowing the body to come back into this moment, this timeline. And we'll turn our attention to Shantideva's prayer from the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. We'll recite this 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. just like space, and the great elements such as earth may always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach until the end of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I become the doctor. May I be the doctor and the medicine. And may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space, and the great elements such as earth, may always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the varied beings, for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your practice. Um, um, I'm just noticing the comments here. So, Sharon, you say the rattle shakes loose in me what is not light to be released. Would you like to offer a little more? Just, I'm curious. If you want, that's not, I'm just curious as to what that means.
You can unmute yourself.
Uh-oh.
Today, when you use the rattle at the end of practice, I noticed in my body that there were sensations of kind of stuck places just freeing up. And on the out breath, I was able to release that. And it was like little bits of darkness that were stuck in places I hadn't noticed. That just kind of shook it off and freed it up to let go. And as I was, being the column of awakened light and energy. And just to say too much, because that's my thing, I'm watching a television show called Supernatural. I've been binge watching, and they talk about the meat body. You wear a meat body, but you're really a being of energy and spirit and light. And so that imagery has been with me in practice, carrying over from my television watching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, these are, these are just shamanic tools that I use. I got this from a local indigenous man, actually. When I got it, he made it. It's I don't know what it's made out of, but when I got it, I was like, oh, this is really powerful. The blessings are really strong in it, right? And of course, if you have the right intention with tools that you use in ceremony, then that can have a really profound impact. But yeah, the shaking loose, and letting it go, most importantly, let it go. Even if it's great and wonderful, you can still let it go. It's not really going anywhere necessarily, but you're creating space around what's arising so the energy itself can do what it needs to do. If it needs to leave your experience, it does. If it stays, it stays. Right? But anything in our practice should be offered a lot of space. And that, in a way, gives agency to the energy itself to make decisions. Right? Of course, if energies are actually getting in the way, then that can get complex as well, because sometimes there are energies that are trying to help us, but we misunderstand what's happening. Um, so in practices like Medicine Buddha, because of the lineage, because of the intentions, because we're channeling into a Buddha whose primary concern is to liberate, there's a lot of protection and support in practices like this. So you can really trust there's that there's a level of safety and that you're being really taken care of, right? By the earth, by all your benefactors as well. Too. Um, yeah. So thank you, everyone. And again, please continue to practice as well with what we go over. Just try, it's really, really wonderful to find ways in your daily life to bring some of these practices into just your daily activity as well. I think that's really wonderful. And yeah, it sounds good. And I think that's it for this week for me. And in any case, thank you all so much for your practice. And please be well this week. And I'll see you again soon in some way. In your dreams, in your visions, wherever it may be. I'm always working for you. All right. Or I'm doing something. I don't know. All right. Thank you, everyone. And I'll talk to you at least next week. Okay. Bye.